Anna's Nana by David Corder. Chapter 12, The Old Testament. This Sunday on the way home, Nathan started with a question. Anna didn't mind because she noted that if the bigger kids were confused, she was probably confused too. Nathan asked, I know that you told us that the scriptures are like love letters. I understand and kind of like thinking of them like that. But why are there three readings from the Bible at every Mass? Why don't they just read one reading every week at a time? Well, actually, there's four readings at every Mass, answered Nana. That's what I mean, said Nathan. What's the difference? Why not just read one? They could read just one and spend more time on that one. Well, first of all, always remember that everything in the Bible is about truth, began Nana. I said truth, not facts. It's always a good idea to listen to different views, even when they point to the same truth. If there's the same truth, how could there be different views? Asked Nancy. I'll give you an example, said Nana. Anna, what do you remember most about last Christmas? That's easy, said Anna. All the presents. I got toys, games, books, and, oh yeah, some socks too. Barbara, what do you remember most about last Christmas? Barbara was Mom's real name. For me, when I think about last Christmas, I think about being with all the family, answered Mom. All the hugs, the laughs, and just being together in one place was wonderful. Nancy, what do you remember? Asked Nana. I like playing football with everyone in the backyard, answered Nancy. Don't ask Dad. We already know what he'd say. The food. Hey, protested Dad. Everyone nodded their heads and laughed. So, even though everyone was talking about the same day, they have a different memory, explained Nana. Different memories doesn't mean that the truth was different, only the memories were different. At Mass, we start with the first reading to see what views the Hebrews had about God. Okay, stop there, said Anna. Who are the Hebrews? I thought they were Jews. Dad said they're from Israel, said Nancy. Why aren't they just called Israelites? I can see how that could be confusing, assured Nana. Let's try this. You've heard of the Dutch people in Europe, right? Of course, said Nathan. They're from Holland. Not really, said Nana. They're called Dutch because they speak Dutch. The country they're from is called the Netherlands. Holland is a state in the Netherlands, but not every Dutch person lives in the state of Holland. The Hebrews are from Israel, and sometimes they're called Israelites, but sometimes they're called Hebrews because they speak the Hebrew language. Sometimes they're called Jews because most of them are from the area called Judah. Over the years, they've been called Hebrews, Jews, Israelites, and even Israelis, but usually they all mean the same people. Now back to the first reading. Remember that the Bible is a library. So the first reading will come from one of the main sections of the library called the Old Testament. During Easter season, it's from the book of Acts, but the rest of the time it's from the Old Testament. Sometimes the Old Testament is called the Hebrew Scriptures. It's called the Hebrew Scriptures because they're written in the language of Hebrew. I like to call them the Hebrew Scriptures because it helps me to find the books in the library. How does it do that? Asked Mom. When I'm looking for a story or a book about the Hebrews, I know to look in the Hebrew Scriptures, answered Anna. It makes it simpler to find my way around the library. That makes sense, said Mom. The first section of the Old Testament is called the Pentateuch. Remember, penta means five. This section contains the first five books. There's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The names of the books will give you clues about what stories you'll find in the book. For example, Genesis means beginning. In Genesis, we learn how God has loved us from the beginning. We hear the stories of creation, Adam and Eve, of Noah's Ark, and the call of Abraham. Exodus is a story of leaving. Think of the exit signs over the doors that we leave. It's a story of how God sent Moses to the people enslaved in Egypt and led them to freedom by passing through the water. Now, Leviticus. The priests and religious leaders of the Hebrews were called Levites back then. Leviticus is the book written by and for the religious leaders to teach us how we should respond to God's love. Numbers is a list of the different people who were on the journey with Moses to the land of freedom from slavery. It tells us how many people and how different people were called to freedom. It helps to show us how God loves all types of people. Deuteronomy is a Latin name. Deutero means second. Onomy means law. So Deuteronomy means second law. It retells many of the early stories from a different perspective. Are you going to tell us about all the books today? Asked Nanna. No, I guess that wouldn't be a good idea on a ride home, answered Nanna. These books have been in the library for thousands of years. They'll be there waiting when we're ready to check them out. I'll just go through the other sections so you can find the books you're interested in. The next session is called the historical books. These books have the stories of how the Hebrews became a nation of people. They tell the stories of the heroes and kings. Some of the stories are about good times, like David and Goliath. Some of the stories are about sad times, like when Israel was invaded by powerful armies. That sounds interesting, said Nathan. I like to read about history. I'll show you some books you might like after we get home, said Nanna. Just remember that the stories we read aren't like the history books we have today. People didn't keep careful records like we do today. Okay, I'll try to remember, but I may need you to explain some things, said Nathan. I'm always happy to help any way that I can, answered Nanna. After the historical books, the next session of the library is called the wisdom books. These are books that have poems, songs, love stories, and different adages. What's an adage? Asked Anna. An adage is a life lesson. Sometimes they're called proverbs, answered Nanna. These are lessons about how to live a happy life by loving God and people. Sometimes they're long stories, but usually they're short. Some of them are short enough to fit on a t-shirt. Did you say that there were songs and music? Asked Nancy. Oh, yes, said Nanna. There's even a whole book of songs called Psalms. The Psalms are prayers that were written to be sung out loud. Some of them even show what musical instruments should be played with them. At every Mass, we will either sing or read out loud one of the Psalms. It's called the responsorial psalm because we sing it in response to the first reading from the Old Testament. This is a song that we sing back and forth with the cantor. The final section of the Old Testament is called the prophetic books. These books are written by or about the prophets. What's a prophet? Asked Anna. That's easy, began Nancy. A prophet is someone who sees the future. I know a lot of people think that's what a prophet does, began Nanna. But a prophet doesn't see the future. A prophet sees what's happening right now. Then the prophet will warn the people about what will happen if they keep doing what they're doing. I don't get it, said Nanna. Well, sometimes we say that a prophet is someone who afflicts the comfortable and comforts the afflicted, answered Nanna. That doesn't help, said Anna. I still don't get it. Okay, let's try this, said Nanna. A prophet is someone who shares the pizza. Now I don't get it, complained Mom. I'll explain, began Nanna. Suppose I wanted to treat everyone to pizza. I know that Anna likes pepperoni, Nancy likes vegetarian, Mom likes plain cheese, and Nathan likes sausage and with mushrooms. What about me? Asked Dad. Everyone knows that your favorite pizza is more, said Mom. Everyone laughed. Anyway, since everyone likes a particular kind of pizza, I order 5 large pizzas, continued Nana. When they're delivered, I put all the pizzas on the table. Then your dad sits down at the table without telling anyone they've arrived. He then tells me, thanks for all this pizza, Mom. This will be enough for me to have pizza for dinner every night this week. Too bad the kids won't have any. I wouldn't do that, protested Dad. I know, but I'm explaining what a prophet does, said Nana. So Dad has 5 pizza, but the rest of you don't have any. That's not fair, right? No, it's not, said Nancy. When Nancy sees that Dad has more pizzas than he could eat, and the rest of the family has nothing to eat, she goes to Dad to tell him that he needs to share the pizza. When she does that, she's afflicting the comfortable, Dad, and comforting the afflicted, the rest of us. So the prophetic books are stories where the prophets goes to the people who have lots of things or power and reminds them that they must share with those who have nothing or no power. We read about the prophets many times at Mass. This is important to remember because when we are baptized, we are given the power and the mission to be prophets. Just as they were pulling into the driveway, Dad asked, "Who wants pizza?" Nana said she'd pay.